How are you? This is Mischa. Thanks again for joining me for another week of Stay Inspired. Today, my guest is Dr. Glenna Tolbert. She is the owner of the Tolberts Center for Rehabilitation here in Los Angeles, California. She actually has 2 offices. Let's hear what she has to say about COVID-19, about masks, and what we can do to stop the cases from continuing to rise. How beautiful.
Good morning. How are you?
I am absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing better, my dear. I like your inspirations.
Amen. Amen. Happy. What's today? Happy Tuesday.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I know we are on limited time. So first, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join me for this conversation. It's a blessing to have you.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be here. That's what we do for one another, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So I will say this, as a frontline healthcare provider, you are in the thick of all that is the virus, the impact of the virus. And so I want to know, first of all, how are you doing as a healthcare provider and as a person who is tasked with, again, really knowing how to help us through this moment? How are you doing?
Oh, I appreciate the question. It's so kind. Actually, the only other person who really asked me that are my patients. And it's very touching. And I have to say, just thinking, when it all first started, I have to laugh because when we first were just hearing about this, maybe there's a virus and someone had, passed away. And I was in my Los Angeles office, and a new patient was seeing me during this time. And this man was completely paralyzed from the neck down. And so he's in my office, and what does he do? But he sneezes right in my face. And he couldn't help it, he's paralyzed. His mother had a fit, she apologized. And Mischa, I tell you, just honestly, maybe within a couple days, I started feeling ill. And we didn't know what this was. It was very early. And everyone who knows me well, my family in particular, they're like, something's wrong with you, because I was in bed for 2 days.
Really?
And didn't have a lot of information. And I'm in bed, I'm listening to the news, and I'm talking to my girlfriend who's a physician in DC, and she's starting to get concerned. So what I'm trying to say is, that was the beginning of when then things began to mushroom. And I'm having my own personal, what's going on with myself. And I didn't want to frighten my staff. I didn't want to expose, because that's one of our policies anyway. That's always been our policy, even during flu season. If you're sick, you stay at home.
Yeah.
If anyone comes into our office with a cough, they're given a mask. That's just basic healthcare hygiene 101. So I had to laugh, and that was the beginning, and everything just escalated thereafter. And it was at a time when we didn't know much about COVID. Remember, testing wasn't really available. The first tests that came out weren't very accurate.
Yeah.
In fact, my Black women physicians group that I belong to, very talented women, they were talking and saying, now, girl, we've been doing this a long time, taking care of patients, and we knew these people had the row. We knew they had COVID, and the tests were coming back, no COVID.
Wow.
Right? Until later, it was revealed, okay, these tests need improvement. So, a lot was going on, and we could not, for me, I'm in business for myself.
Yes.
As you know, 2 offices, staff of 8 to 9, and we could not get masks. We could not get gloves. our normal orders we had put in, the suppliers couldn't get it because, you know, they couldn't get it. My colleagues, general medicine doctors, their offices were closed, like out, you know, they were just closed. They didn't, you know, so my patients, because I'm a specialist, but many of them say they come to me for everything. They were calling, and that's really what incited me or motivated me to not close and to stay open, because my patients were just frantic, and they were at the brink of tears of, thank God you're there.
Yeah.
And they just wanted us to be here for information. And I actually had a patient I remember who suffers from severe anxiety. I don't mean nervousness, but severe anxiety. I know I'm gonna die. I'm giving my dog away and I wanna come in. And we're like, no, don't come in. But I called the ER because I have a good relationship with the emergency room doctors. And I said, how can I help? Because clearly they're on the true front line in a different way.
For sure.
Can I do? And they told me, these are the things we need you to look for. If your patients are stable, do not send them to the emergency room.
Okay.
So that's really also, so I felt that that's how I was helping, is one, staying open, being here for my patients so they know we're here. At that time, there wasn't a lot of information, but I had a lot of information that people didn't have, so I could educate them, you know, in terms of breathing. No, you don't want to be in the ER because you can get sicker, and just teaching them what to do. So this was early on, and helping my emergency room colleagues from being totally overwhelmed by cases that could be best managed either at home or by me over the phone.
I want to say, you mentioned that you kept your practice open because for the most part, you were all your patients had. I want you to tell us a little bit about the Tolberts Center for Rehabilitation, because I was so deeply inspired when I met you and your amazing husband at one of your offices for an article I was writing on you, and to learn about the work that you all do in terms of really seeking to help heal people naturally and not through surgery and medication. And there's something to be said about that in a world where opioids are just the thing to prescribe to people. So can you just tell us a little bit about the Tolberts Center for Rehabilitation and what inspired you to start it for those who may not know?
Oh, thank you for the question. So my background actually is in trauma. And so I'm a rehabilitation doctor. I'm not a therapist, I'm a medical doctor. And it came about, the specialty is relatively new, but it came around about in wartime. And I consider us in war right now.
Okay.
So Mischa, for you, I took my hair down, but my war gear has been in twist.
Thank you.
And so it came about in wartime when our soldiers were coming home. And as I've said before, this is a medical term, they were jacked up. They were jacked up physically, missing limbs, brain injuries, emotionally jacked up. They were not the same man or woman that they, you know, after war. And so what I learned then, similar to COVID now, you know, what we do as doctors, nurses, healthcare providers to save a person's life, like we're doing now with COVID, God, you know, to save a life, I have to tell you, I miss that adrenaline, you know, rush. It's exciting, it's amazing, it's scary. But after we save a life, the medications that we have you on that are necessary to save a life, similar with COVID now, they're not necessarily what's good for you for quality of life. So I found after many years, I've been doing this almost 30 years, and what I started to see is that the same medications actually were breaking you down, maybe breaking down your immune system, breaking your body down so you could not be strong. So I opened the practice to really dedicate it to those complex patients or just people who've had pains or injuries that they feel they've never been heard, and they want to be strong.
Yeah.
And they've been to the circus, they've been on the medications. And we do medications as well, but we try to look at medications and see if they're still appropriate. Can they be less? Can you be off? And how can we strengthen you nutritionally?
Yes.
You know, looking at your hormones, getting you on an exercise plan. We actually design something that's for your body. And we also do state of the art. So we are a state of the art facility using a team approach. We're in the Valley, and we're also in the Beverly Hills, Los Angeles border. And our whole focus is to getting people stronger and having the life that you really, really want and feeling fabulous, not just getting along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, your office is as beautiful as you are. It is so warm and welcoming.
Oh,
and again, you know, it's just beautiful to see someone taking a different approach, as you said, because it's very easy to just say, take some medicine, take some medicine, take some medicine, not realizing what you said. And I learned this from our conversation, that medicine breaks down the nutrition in us. So not having something to counter that is not always the best thing. So it was, you know, that was really, really good to know. I wanted to ask you right now, with a lot of cities having reopened, we're seeing a resurgence of numbers of cases all over the country. You know, the positive testing is spiking. Just as Dr. Fauci said that it would, and many other experts said that it would if we did not adhere to a lot of the precautions. What's your advice to us? What can we do to slower these spikes that are happening right now? What would be your advice to us?
So first of all, I just want to give homage, you know, to everyone out there. You know, things have slowed down since they've stabilized, you know, for me. So I want to give homage to all my colleagues out there on the, you know, front lines, and to Dr. Fauci and all the public health experts. God love them, because they got me through too when I first started. I was on that CDC site daily. I want to give homage to the Los Angeles Department of County of Public Health.
Yeah.
It's a great resource.
Yeah.
They also have a hotline for providers and just people. So please know, if you want to know about advice, there's a hotline, the LA County Department of Public Health, and you can call. So my advice is, please listen to the experts, first of all, and the CDC and the Los Angeles Department of Public Health are great resources based on the science that we have. And then, again, that's a perfect segue into what I do as well. Besides what we know about masks and social distancing and just being clean. I mean, we've had to do that in healthcare. You just gotta be clean, don't be nasty.
Yeah, yeah, how about that?
Yes.
You know, they used to say cleanliness is next to godliness. Remember
All
that?
of us, let's, you know, not forget our common sense, please.
Common sense.
But even beyond that, here at the center, as I've said, what the good news is, so first of all, healthy habits, you know, and following the experts, the CDC, the LA County, because, you know, counties differ and states differ. Mm-hmm. So if you're here in the LA County, the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, if you're in another county, go to their public health, you know, even in a, you know, because even in a state, things can vary. So, you know, look at your county.
Different cities are impacted differently.
Yes.
In that state, yes.
Yes, but then the CDC, you know, for the general things that we all have to do to protect our brothers and sisters. And then being consistent with my philosophy at the Tolberts Center, our bodies are made to heal and fight. We have awesome machines.
That's right.
And so beyond just social distancing and masking, there are actually aggressive things. If you truly want to be a warrior, there are aggressive things that you can do to boost and strengthen your immune system. And so we actually have the technology to measure your immune system so you can see where you are.
Mm.
And so on our site, because I know we only have so much time, but drGlennaTolbert.com, we talk about all the ways that you can measure your immune system, looking at your nutrients, you know, to see what your body needs. You can actually get an immune system score. So you can see what you need and how you can boost yourself up, and you don't have to guess.
Amen.
Yeah, so we have the technology for that.
Wow.
The second thing also is hormones. Hormones are these little messages that tell our cells what to do and tell our immune system also what to do. So also hormone testing. And the third thing is exercise, staying active. That boosts our immune system.
Yes, yes.
And then also finding, keep your doctor appointments, please, whether it's virtual, but keep them. It's some sad stories that have happened during COVID. I know I was talking to colleagues and I said to them, have you kind of noticed that people seem to be ignoring their health during COVID? And everyone's chimed in and said, oh, yes. One of my colleagues who is a surgeon talked about how a patient had a gunshot wound. And he didn't want to come into the ER. We can understand this, but he had a gunshot wound.
Really?
So he stayed home and nursed it and became sick. And when she finally saw him, she said, he did a great job on nursing that wound. And he had a pus pocket in his intestine, which could kill him.
Wow.
So he had to be rushed to surgery. Do not ignore your health. We're seeing people who are ignoring chest pain. Just a little chest pain, I'll be all right. No, that can be a heart attack.
Yes.
I actually personally had a patient that I did a virtual visit with, and she was complaining about more pain, and she's too much pain to come out, and I really didn't want her to come to the office because, again, it was early. So I did a house visit. When I got to the house, Mischa, she was extremely short of breath. She looked a hot mess. I was there to do an injection and a pain procedure for her, but I told her I couldn't do it. I said, you look a mess. Instead, my medical assistant drew blood on her. The next day, the lab called me with critical labs, when it's critical. By 12 o'clock, she was dead.
No.
You cannot ignore your health, even though there's COVID.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that some of the ignoring of the health is because we kept hearing, do not go to the emergency room, do not go to the emergency room, do not go to the emergency room. So do you think that some of it was people feeling like, if I can manage this discomfort, then I don't go to the emergency room and I don't overwhelm the doctors and nurses there even more, because we just kept seeing how overwhelmed they were with all of the COVID cases. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Well, I'm sure, but I think that's the point now, is we're not there now.
It's true.
Your doctor has virtual visits. And as I said, even before, I was always open for that reason.
Yeah.
So, we have that capability. So what I'm saying now is, that was then, this is now. Do not ignore your health.
Yes, yes. Speaking of health, I think that's a great segue into my next to the last question. There's a lot going on about masks. Dr. Tolbert, we are seeing people literally just becoming unglued over masks. We saw that the public health director for Los Angeles County, who you've mentioned several times, was threatened. We saw that the Orange County public health director actually resigned because she was being threatened. And people just outright, too many people, certainly not everybody, too many people just feel that they should not have to wear masks. What do you think that's about? If you have a thought about it.
I have a lot of thoughts about it. And I think it's unfortunate. And I will stick with my original message of please follow the science. And in healthcare, even before COVID, flu season, which is a virus, it's nothing new. We've always, if a patient comes in with a cough, you put a mask on them. If my staff has a cough, stay home. Frequent hand washings, that's why you're taught to cough and, into your elbow, because you don't want to transmit it. So these are basic healthcare 101, so that has not changed. But what I also have learned, I've learned it over my 30 years of practicing, and I even saw it even more during COVID, is we are people and we are human. And I know that sounds really silly, but the human spirit and our emotions are so complicated. You know, they're so complicated. I had a patient who came. I did not ask him to come to the office, but when he came to the office, he was just as irritable. He was, get me out of here, get me out of here, you know. So we don't know, you know, all of us, this is a stressful time. So, and so my point is, people's anxiety is real. It might not even be rational. And I think we have to respect it. I think we have to not judge. I think if more than ever, we have to have compassion. You know, do not judge, you know, have compassion. It doesn't even have to be rational. And I learned that the hard way as being a physician. You know, don't try to talk someone out of how they're feeling, telling them it's irrational, talking science to them, talking statistics. That's not comforting to them. We have to meet people where they are. And then you can only control you. So you have to make decisions, you know, protecting yourself. You know, do I really need to be in that crowd? And if you feel you do, you know, then that's your decision. But make, you know, smart decisions for yourself and your family.
Amen. Amen. My last question is, I believe gratitude, not greatness, well, greatness as well, but I believe gratitude changes everything. I believe that it lights up our life and it really helps us to appreciate even the smallest of things. I know you to be a grateful woman, someone who is just in love with all that God continues to do in your life and in the life of your family. Wanted to know today, what is Dr. Glenna Tolbert grateful for?
Well, the obvious is grateful for another day, Mischa. I wake up and, you know, before I really get out of bed or, you know, checking the phone, just grateful for another day. Grateful that I had a peaceful night. Grateful that God's giving me another chance. I have to laugh because, you know, every day I do something, I have to laugh at myself and I say, okay, God, I know you're not finished with me.
Right. How about that for humanity, right?
And I'm grateful for meeting you. And I'm grateful that there are blessings in the darkness because this has been, you know, a challenging time.
2020 has been, I don't think any of us anticipated this. It has been a year and a half and it's only halfway through the year.
Yes, and so I am grateful for our God who is in control, and it forces me to lean into the darkness and find those blessings.
Yeah. Amen. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest.
To you.
Yes, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, and most importantly, stay healthy as you help other people to do the same.
Thank you, Mischa. And then one last plug for any of your listeners. There is a comprehensive town hall webinar that, you know, I sent you some information on.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Yeah, so any of the more scientific information, you know, that your subscribers want, that's the place.
And I'll also share that, okay?
Okie dokie. Take
All right. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye. I hope that my conversation with Dr. Tolbert was insightful for you. I hope that something she shared helps you to continue to take care of yourself and those you love. In the meantime, stay well and stay inspired. Bye-bye.